Yeah, I know excitement and fear feel the same in my body. I can feel them in my stomach. And there's sometimes when I'm thinking, why do I feel scared? Like I thought I was excited about this.
I spent most of my life being earnest, showing up very seriously in the world, showing up, needing my validation, my evidence of my purpose from others.
Luckily, I remembered it. Right now, I'm aware of it. And like you said, now it'll help me make better decisions in the future.
I can't keep breaking promises to myself because there's a cost. And in that moment, I knew that the cost was my mental and emotional well being. It was like, I can't keep doing this. Something about me has to change.
With better awareness, you're going to make better choices. And if you're making better choices, you're going to have better results. So really, but it all comes down to that awareness. Welcome to Joy², Live with Joy. This is the podcast where we get to explore the power of joy, purpose, passion, and fun, and how joy, when practiced intentionally, transforms how we live, work, and lead. I'm your host, Greg De Koker, and I believe that when you live with joy, everything gets better, and I mean everything. And this isn't just about feeling good. It's about unlocking joy as a resource, one that fuels better leadership, meaningful work, and thriving lives. Each week, we share the stories, the insights, and the sparks that ignite more joy because joy is contagious, it's powerful, and it belongs to all of us. So lean in, stay curious, and let's create more joy together. This is Joy², brought to you by Essentia Group. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Joy² Live with Joy podcast. I'm your host, Greg De Koker, and as always, our purpose is simple: to inspire, energize, and empower people to live, work, and lead with more joy, intentionally. And today's guest is someone who embodies so much of what Joy² is all about. Victoria Hirst is a certified DreamBuilder Coach, life mastery consultant, speaker, retreat leader, and guide who helps leaders, professionals, and entrepreneurs create lives that are aligned with their deepest values, goals, and aspirations. After spending more than 30 years in the film and television industry, helping writers, directors, producers, and actors bring their visions to life, she now helps other people. What would we call other people? Like regular people? People not in that industry. Everyone else,
Yeah.
organizations and people, yeah, bring their own visions to life. But beyond her impressive accomplishments, Victoria is one of those rare people who leaves everyone better than she found them. And I've had the pleasure of sharing several incredible experiences with her over the years. So Victoria's attended one of my Still Center retreats as a guest kind of a few years ago. And then she's also co-hosted another one of my retreats alongside me. I've also had the opportunity to experience her beautiful Chibougamau Creek Forest farmstead, both as a guest and also while co-hosting one of my men's retreats there. And what continually stands out to me is the way Victoria holds space for people, including myself. And she has an incredible gift of just meeting people exactly where they are, helping them reconnect with themselves, and also creating environments where transformation feels very natural versus forced. So whether she's guiding someone through life coaching, leading a forest bathing experience, hosting a retreat, or simply having a conversation, Victoria is a way of helping people slow down. That's a good reminder right there. Deep breath. Listen more deeply and reconnect with what matters most. So Victoria, welcome to Joy². It's such a pleasure to have you here, and I can't
Oh,
wait to dive in.
oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to see you, to hear you, and thank you for that incredible introduction. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I thought, I'd start off with, I know how busy you are. Like I've been to, your farm Chibougamau is just a stunning place. Just a piece of paradise that you have. And with your coaching, with everything, I know you've done a lot of work, especially over the last few years, getting certified in some new programs. And so you're very busy and very intentional with what you're doing. So yeah, just why'd you say yes to this conversation? Let's start there.
Well, Greg, because I love spending time with you. I mean, everything that you said about me, back to you. Like, you are such a pleasure to spend time with. And we were joking earlier that we may have, shared already our funnies before we hit record. The fact was, we were having fun even while I was navigating the technology, even while, we were saying hello and getting our coffee and me dressing the background and all the things, right?
Your art gallery.
Like we, still having fun. And that
Yeah.
is absolutely, I mean, we're going to dig into it more, but when you meet and find people that you're in alignment with, who have the same values, who have the same ethics in life, it's so fun because you cut through all the, excuse my language, BS beforehand, all the ego beforehand. And we're two people just showing up to like spread more joy. I mean, hello, why wouldn't I want to be here?
Oh my god, it's so good, it's so good. I thank you for saying all that. I mean, I really appreciate that, and, I know it's so funny. I was thinking maybe I need to rethink that first question because it sounds a little bit self-serving. Now that I rethink it, because this podcast isn't about, me. I mean, I'm connecting with people that either I know really well, like you through our experiences, or certain people that I haven't, that people said, "Oh, you gotta talk to this person." And it's amazing. And I love having the conversation. And it's interesting because when I watch these episodes back, I get emotional. Like I get really excited. Like I've created something and we're co-creating something right now that we hope is going to resonate. Some of, what we're sharing, resonates with people and it makes a difference for people to kind of choose joy and create joy and not wait for joy. So yeah, it's really amazing. And you, in my books, have this 100% track record of just being awesome and joyful and everything that you do. And you're an incredible facilitator in a way to bring people. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but just your way of bringing people, bringing me like into my body through nature, through conversation, through connection. And it's just, yeah, it's been really special. So I've been really excited about this conversation for a while.
It's so good, and I wanna share, and maybe this was
Mm,
one of your questions, but I
mhm.
wasn't always like this, and I think that,
Yeah.
well, I know that that's one of the reasons that I enjoy it so much. I spent
Mhm.
most of my life being earnest, showing up very seriously in the world, showing up, needing my validation, my evidence of my purpose from others. And now in this phase of my life, like I can simply show up as myself, as my authentic self. And so that is one of my reasons why I love to share, because that is possible for everyone, whether we grew up seriously, whether we've spent, parts of our lives, particularly earnest in struggle mode, in pushing that boulder up a mountain mode, whatever it is, like we
Mhm.
can recalibrate, we can come back home to us with simple, simple tools. And you use the word with intention. It all
Yeah.
starts with awareness and intention.
I love that. Coming back home to ourselves, that's such a beautiful expression. And a friend of mine once told me that, when we were talking about homes, and I had it kind of related to your physical home, right? And she said, you know what, for me, home is a feeling. And I get goosebumps just thinking of that. Remember when she said that, it was like emotional. Like I had literally like, it brought up tears, right away because I could feel it. I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. When I think about home, it's not just the house, right? It's all the experiences and the conversations and the love and the learning and the mistakes and just whatever thing that goes, into that feeling. I really love that. I was thinking when you were sharing that, Victoria, was like, was there like a specific moment that you can remember or a series of moments that kind of helped you shift into who you are now? I'd love to hear that.
I remember it really, really vividly because I was volunteering for a wildlife sanctuary in Costa Rica. And I had my phone with me because, that was the addiction at the time.
Right.
And my
For,
phone rang, like it rang. So what did I do? I automatically answered it. And in
right.
that moment, I broke this work free promise to myself.
Mm,
And I was standing there in this absolutely idyllic rainforest surrounded by these rescued animals. And I was answering a work call that, in the grand scheme of everything, felt so insignificant. And in the end, it could have been answered by other people. It didn't actually need me. But at the time, because I was seeking my validation through, being wanted, being needed, I did answer it. And so it was that like huge aha that I'd broken this promise to myself, that I was surrounded by absolute magnificence. And I'm like, there has to be more than this.
yeah, right.
I can't keep breaking promises to myself because there's a cost. And in that moment, I knew that the cost was my mental and emotional well being. It was like, I can't keep doing this. Something about me has to change because I'm robbing myself of my own vitality, my own joy, my own happiness. And none of it was about anybody else. None of it was about the actual phone call. It was about me answering the phone. It was about me breaking my promise to myself. It was about me, like, literally denying myself the opportunity of being present with rescued animals in this rainforest by taking something, because at that time I was seeking that validation from others. So that was my aha, and it was a pretty profound aha. And I literally felt it physiologically in my body. Like I was literally felt sick afterwards, because I knew in my heart, I knew in my very soul, very being, that this was the moment that I couldn't keep going on the way I had been showing up as me.
I love that it meant so much and that you literally thought about it and you felt it because often and I was just chatting about this yesterday with another guest and I said often, we come up with an idea or it's a promise to ourselves, but we frame it. And I can speak for myself. I'll frame it as an idea, as a good idea at the time. Like I'm going to work out tomorrow morning. I'm going to go for a run in the morning. And then in the morning I'm tired. I don't feel like it. I don't have time, whatever the excuses are. But then I was like, oh, it was a good idea last night. It's not such a good idea, this morning. But I've already let myself off the hook. And again, I know there's a little bit of that. Let's give each other some grace, ourselves and other people, obviously. And also let's call each other up, not call each other out. I've said that several times. That's an expression. How can I call myself up to, like, if I really want to get outside, be in nature, connect with myself, do some movement, I know it's healthy, then how can I change it in a way like you did, where you really got clear that you broke a promise to yourself? You didn't just say, oh, you know what, I took a phone call I shouldn't have, I'll learn next time. You really dove into that, which I think is really special. And it's a huge reflection of who you are and how you think about things, which I love. So it's no surprise. I love that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I want to share, this is one of the things that I talk about with my clients, is that when you do this, firstly, you're in awareness. So the moment you're in awareness is your opportunity to start changing your habits, to start changing your thinking, to start changing your beliefs about yourself. And it is a process. We're rewiring our neural pathways. And so, as you said, like, how can I like to reframe the questions like, what can I do? We all fall off the wagon, right? We all fall off the wagon. But it's like, what can we do to get back on with grace, with self compassion, so that we're building the neural pathways that is, once I make a decision, once I make a promise to myself, I know that I'm the person who follows through because I've been doing it so many times. I've built that muscle memory. And when you fall off the wagon, it's simply like, okay, today I did. And with all love and due respect to me and whatever's going on, tomorrow I redecide. Tomorrow I redo.
Yeah.
And we get to do that, right? Instead of beating ourselves up, instead of looking at ourselves as, oh, I like to say, putting ourselves in the should shed. Oh, I should have done that. I should be this. I should have
Right.
done that.
That's like we need to
We
stop
get to,
shitting on ourselves, right? That other
oh yeah,
expression, right? Shitting
oh
on
yeah,
ourselves and on other
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love how you used that moment powerfully to build yourself up instead of break yourself down, instead of beat yourself down, instead of criticizing yourself. Because I think, and I know I've gone through this a lot, where it's like I'll come up with that awareness. I'll come up with that thing like, oh, I realize that maybe I shouldn't have said that, or I should have said something, or shouldn't have done something, or should have done something. The shoulding, right? I'm in that mode. And then I'll use that awareness as a way like, I can't believe I did it. And and I'll get down on myself as opposed to just like, wow, you know what? Luckily I remembered it. Right now, I'm aware of it. And like you said, now it'll help me make better decisions in the future. Like Robin Sharma, when I went to his Awakening Best Self weekend quite a few years ago, he said, he goes, I've got a 3-step success formula, very simple. With better awareness, you're going to make better choices. And if you're making better choices, you're going to have better results. So really, but it all comes down to that awareness, right? And now that you're aware of that, how do you then use that to your advantage and give yourself some grace? So yeah,
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely. And I want to add to that. So, science is now saying that we have between 12 and 60,000 thoughts a day. So that's quite a big discrepancy. And there's the discussion about conscious versus unconscious. But of that number, 90% are repeated thoughts. So once we know this fact, we can be a lot more compassionate to ourselves, right? We can be a lot more understanding in, well, it's perfectly natural and normal that I would have that thought because I've had it before.
Yes.
I've beaten myself up before,
Yeah.
right? So it's perfectly natural that I would have done that. That's my natural go to. But in my awareness, I'm firstly going to celebrate that I noticed
Yes.
because, hello, 90% of the time we may not be noticing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So celebrate when you notice,
Yeah.
and then you get to make another decision.
Yes.
Or you get to create the path of least resistance so that the next time you make the decision that you're choosing that is for your higher good, for the version of you that is living the dream that you'll, the life that you absolutely love, or for you going for a run, whatever it is, right? You set yourself up the path of least resistance for the next time so that it's easy to just do it.
Yes. Yeah.
And in your awareness, you're celebrating, right? Because I mean, that's the other thing that I realized in my life that I wasn't acknowledging what it was that I had accomplished. So
Mhm.
going back to that beating ourselves up for whatever, whatever we're beating ourselves up on in that minute, right?
Right.
Instead of doing that,
Yeah.
I lost the original track there. But instead of beating ourselves up, we get to actually acknowledge it and go, "Oh, this is what I have been doing.
Yeah.
Now I get to learn from it and choose another way of being."
You have a different level of awareness and you're able to make different and better choices that are more aligned with what you want. It's not about right or wrong. I guess not in that context, it's about
Mhm.
what's right for you. If you want to use the word right, what's best for you, what's aligned with who you are and your values and your dream and your vision. And when you talk about 90% are repeated thoughts, there's also a percentage they say that of those, whether it's 12,000 or 60,000, for me, it's thousands, right? I mean, it's just, it doesn't really matter. It's a lot.
Yeah,
And,
it's a lot.
but it's crazy the discrepancy, right? But they say like 80%, there's like 80% of those thoughts
85.
are or
Yeah,
85% are
85.
negative.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was like over 80. Okay. Wow, that's a lot. And so then I think about you talking about celebrating, and I was like, yeah, that's great, and then celebrating that awareness because in changing that muscle and rewiring that, whatever that looks like and whatever that sounds like. I know for me, I do love celebrating. I find sometimes I celebrate too early where no, I do. I'm already like, I'm kind of fast forwarding, and then I'm like, oh my God, I got that proposal out. Of course, they're going to say yes. I'm pre celebrating. But then sometimes I'll lose momentum, right? Like, I'll kinda take my foot off the gas a little bit, and again, not it being about work, 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 and work to the bone or anything like that, but I realize that I need to find a for me anyway, I need to find a better balance between celebrating, but also keeping the momentum going, because then if someone's, like, saying yes to this, or people are saying yes to, the podcast, and more people are listening, and people are saying yes to my proposals or whatever that work is, and I'm getting an opportunity to create value. Like, how can I continue to celebrate that, but also to leverage the momentum that I'm building in a way that helps it keep me grounded, not overworked, not overstressed, not it feeling like work. So for me, there's some work to do in that area. I don't know if you've kind of experienced that or if you can relate to that.
I think once again, it's the internal judgment, right? It's the criticism. That's the well-worn pathway. That's the life we've lived
Yeah.
up until now. So it's so easy to default to that. It's like,
Yes.
I'm not busy enough. I'm not working enough. I
Right.
need to be doing more. I need to do this in order to get that. I mean, it's very, very much the way we used to, for me anyway, the way I used to be in film and television. Like I could never work enough because I was constantly seeking my validation from the output, from the result of that work.
Got it.
What you landed in that awareness is your ability to go, oh, I'm aware that there's a lesson here. I'm aware that I'm judging myself in that word momentum, right? I'm aware that I do the work up until a certain point, and then I'm saying to myself that I'm then losing momentum. So what's more empowering than saying you're losing momentum? Is it that this is easy and that you get back into flow when you next feel it? Like what is more empowering to you so that it feels easy, enables you to you've put it out there, right? You're
Yeah.
leaving it out there with an open hand. So it's not like you're in control of everything that happens from then on, but you are in control of you and how you're feeling and how you're showing up and how you're responding to what it is that you've done. And I love that you're celebrating. I love that you're celebrating the steps,
Yeah.
because this is where I lost my train of thought before.
Okay.
We, in our previous lives, we accomplished things. Did
Right.
we take any moment to celebrate? Like,
Right.
I certainly didn't. And what I find
Yeah.
fascinating in North America is, there's prom every year, right? There's prom. I didn't have prom. I didn't
Right.
celebrate the end of the year. It was like,
Right.
okay, I've done my exams, moving on to the next, right?
Right.
And so it's taking that
Mm.
pause, celebrating, allowing in that feeling of, look what I just put out there. This is great. I really am putting out something that I am hoping will have a ripple effect that is creating some good for others. And hold on to that feeling so that when you're in that moment of judgment about momentum, tap back into that feeling. Oh, I'm creating the momentum. Yes, I'm doing it. I'm doing it from this feeling.
You know what I just got is it's another example. It is. It's another example of me beating myself up that even, because it's like I start to celebrate, but it's like, oh, I don't deserve to celebrate, like maybe I'm not at a point or my sales aren't, where I think I should be, or finances are tight or whatever that is. And so I'm not even allowing myself to just marinate in that joy. I'm already pulling myself out. Right, I know this is Joy squared. This is a bit awkward conversation, but no, I'm kidding. It's a real conversation, and it's true. Like I literally, you're right. I start to pull myself out of that moment as opposed to celebrating and really marinating in that. And then from that space, what do I want? What could I do? Is it connecting out in nature? Is it working on another proposal? Is it making a phone call? Is it sending out an email? Is it taking a nap? Right? What,
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
could I do to
Is it?
continue in that energy, in that alignment. Yeah, so wow.
And I want to, sorry to interrupt, I'm writing and talking at the same time. So what you're talking about is literally what we talk about in Happy for No Reason is you've reached your happiness set point, and your old paradigm, your old limiting sabotaging paradigm is saying, well, who are you to be so happy? Who are you to get so joyful? Right. And it's stopping you in your tracks and giving you some kind of limitation. And the limitation, like most people's limitation, is I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of deserving this level of happiness. I'm
Mhm.
not worthy of having this level of abundance, this abundance in my life, this joyfulness. And so it's stopping us in our tracks, which is why awareness is so amazing.
It's so
Because
key.
as you look back, you'll be able to see, those moments where that paradigm has pulled you back, where it said, oh, hold on a minute, we're not here to celebrate. We're on to the next hard thing. Let's go back to that boulder and push it up the hill. Don't, why not? Let's go back to the boulder. That's what we're used to, right?
I'm already prejudging myself. You're right. I mean, I'm already like the celebration. As I'm going down the celebrating, I'm already kind of prejudging. The losing momentum conversation is in the back of my mind. And it's like, wow, no, it's a great reminder. I got some more work to do. Right. It's like, who am I to celebrate like this? I'm like, I'm the host of Joy Square. That's who, like,
Who
if any,
am I not
I got to
to?
give
Who am
myself
I not
permission.
to?
Yeah, that's right. Oh my
But
God.
but
No, it's not
but you make a
funny.
really great point too. Like
Mm,
even when we're in the practice, even when we're doing this for our for our livelihood,
yeah,
we are all learning. Every day is a lesson. Every
100%.
moment, like 12 to 60,000 thoughts a day, right? 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. There's a lot going on. And there's a lot going on that's used to doing it a certain way. So we're repatterning, rewiring, re-leveling, leveling up each and every time. It's not a one and done. It's a process. It's a practice. And that's what makes it fun because we get to learn from ourselves, right? We get to, instead of judging ourselves, we get to go, oh, look, that's my paradigm. Oh, look what I'm saying to myself.
Oh, look how cute
But
I
I'm
am
not,
with that.
right?
That's so funny. Yeah, I know. Right. Changing the conversation with ourselves. I love that. I love how intentional you are and how you think and how you process and how you share. It's one thing I've always admired about it because I remember over the years like sharing things with you and then you play it back to me and I was like, wow, I was like, did you write that down? I know literally I've said that. I go, we should be recording these conversations. I was like, I felt like you kind of created the whole, all the copy for my like website way back when because you would play it back in a way that's like, wow, that sounded way better than the way I just said it. I love that. Yeah, and again, just learning. But I'd love to know, like, what do you don't it doesn't you don't sound like someone that really, and what I've seen and experienced is you're not really waiting for things to happen. You're creating them. So what are those things that you do to kind of create and cultivate joy in your own life? I'd love to hear that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful question. I love it. I
Mhm.
love it. And once again, it's been a process. It started off with 10 gratitudes a day. It started with tapping into my breath. I moved into meditation. I moved my body. I embrace what feels great. And it's not to say I don't fall off my own wagon, right? But
Right.
I have the tools and I teach the tools to help people get back on. And so breath is our very, very, very first way of tapping into us. Just three long breaths in through our nose and out through our mouth as if we're blowing out through a straw to send such a powerful message to our nervous system that we
That we're
move from
safe.
whatever.
Everything's okay.
Yeah, we're
Right?
moving from the tizzy, we're moving from the
Yeah.
fright, the flight, whatever it is that we
Yeah.
are experiencing, drama outside of us, drama within. 3 deep breaths is all it takes to send a powerful new message to our nervous system.
Wow. I find that I'm a shallow breather. That's one thing I've noticed too, is that like in way I know excitement and fear feel the same in my body. I can feel them in my stomach. And there's sometimes where I'm thinking, why do I feel scared? Like I thought I was excited about this. And then I'll check my breathing and I'll notice my breathing. And often when I'm scared, I'm holding my breath or it's really shallow. Versus like when I'm excited, I'm usually taking fuller breaths and I'm usually breathing, which is always a good thing to do, right? In life.
It's really fascinating to start paying attention to, like bringing awareness to how we are breathing, because a lot of us are shallow breathing. I was absolutely a shallow breather. And yet, when you consciously, intentionally do a deep breath, it's fascinating how long we can actually hold it and how thorough it reaches our extremities, like literally with one breath you can pay attention and tap into our whole being. And it's fascinating how much we go through life just going, right? That we're not paying attention and we're in this.
Right. Yeah. We're not present. We're in our own heads. I know they say when we're two people are having a conversation, there are actually three conversations going on at the same time, right? There's one that we're having together, of course, and then there's the one I'm having in my head, and then there's the one you're having in your head, right? So it's like, how do we not think about what we want to say next and just like be present in the moment and really, because I think that's where the gold is. I mean, it's the life happens in the now. I remember, and I've shared this a few times, like reading The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, and it was a challenging book to read for me, and I laugh about that every time because it was so cerebral. I was just struggling through it. I'm like, I'm fairly smart, but I'm really having a hard time with this book. And then I got to the point where I realized this is why this book found me. I found this book, and it was this one line: "Whenever you realize you're not present, you're present." And for me, that was a huge gift, right? Just that giving myself permission, like I'm going to do my best to be present in a conversation. But if I kind of think of something else, the thought pops in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. And I'm out of the moment. I can, as soon as I realize that, I can come back in the moment. If I need to apologize and just say, I'm sorry, I missed that last thing you said or last 45 minutes or what. No, hopefully it wasn't that long. But, last
The
few
last
minutes.
45 minutes.
Can you replay the entire conversation? Did you happen to record this? Is your phone on record by? by chance. No, but at least then I can clean it up. I can just say, "Hey, I'm
Right.
sorry," and that, I missed that, and bring myself back into the conversation and clean it up and connect.
And I love that. Can I expand on that for a
Oh,
moment?
yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
Because once again, awareness is key, right?
Mhm.
Up until a certain phase in our lives, that was our regular go to.
Right.
I know in my work, I was either dwelling in the past, something that needed to be fixed from the past or something that needed to be massaged, whatever verbiage you want to use, and then worrying about the future. And so when I was in conversations, in particular with crew members, there were times when I knew I was not present. And I think one of the things that we get to appreciate more and more as we land in our own presence and awareness is that we get to, well, firstly, we get to like notice when we're drifting off, right? We get to notice when our thoughts may be wandering somewhere else, but we also recognize it in others.
Yes, it's true, you're right, you kinda know when they're there based on.
Yeah, yeah, and I would never have noticed that.
Yeah.
But now I do sometimes find myself saying, "Let me know when you're ready."
Ooh, I love that. That's a beautiful way to, not judge, but just acknowledge, yeah, they've gone somewhere and just real quickly, I was with a group of people and a friend of mine, and he just seemed off that night and he didn't seem present. And for, someone that's always kind of just happy and engaged, and he wasn't. I remember talking to him after, and I would just say, "Hey, is everything okay? I just kind of noticed you didn't really seem to be totally present." And he said, "No," like, and he was having some real challenges with one of his kids, and he shared it, and I was like, I was heartbroken in that moment. I'm like, "Oh my God, surprised he even came out, like, with what he was carrying." So we never know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, it's like another great reminder too. Like, I love your invitation back to that person, as opposed to like, "Why aren't you listening to me?" And it's easy to take it personally, right? And I've done that for sure, but often it has nothing to do with us, right? And so it's just a great reminder to how can we just connect with people and how can we bring them back into the conversation? In addition to how can we bring ourselves back in when we go out with some grace and some kindness and some joy and not take it so seriously. And
Well, and we also know this is that when we're giving people the gift of presence,
yeah.
that they feel seen, that they
Yes.
feel heard,
Yeah.
that they
Right.
experience a connection. And
Mm.
we're human beings. This is what we're all about.
Yes,
And
that's right.
so if we can give that, like in our awareness, in our journey, in our growth, if we can give that
Mhm.
back, once again, why wouldn't we? Right? Once we land in the awareness of, oh, I have not been present in the past, and now I appreciate the impact of it. Why would I not give that back to others? It's so easy to do.
And maybe the invitation when we say something to someone, it's an invitation for them to potentially share what's going on if they want, if they feel safe, if they feel that's gonna be helpful. But again, that, maybe it's an opening that they needed to, like, they'd rather not be talking about whatever it is you're talking about in that moment. They'd rather talk about this other stuff. But they also, like, I know I felt sometimes where, I'm out with some buddies and, we're all having a good time and I want to share something seriously, but I don't want to drag the party down, right? I don't want to bring everyone's mood down. I don't want to be the joy killer. I'm the host of Joy². No, I don't always think that in the back of my mind. I'm just joking, of course. But no, but I mean, I'm like, but in all seriousness, it's like, how do I share what's going on, but in a way that, but often when I have, it's like there's that connection, there's that thanks for sharing, and we come together, and it's like, and then it's easier to have more fun after that because I've shared something, they've listened, they've heard, we've talked about it, and then, we can, whether we continue to talk about it or we talk about something else, but it doesn't have to be taboo, right? That's about sharing a real moment. That's about asking for support, some often too, asking for help. And maybe other people are going through something similar. I remember it was a guys weekend. I hadn't seen these guys, and some of them in a couple of years, and there was a group of us. It was like 5 or 6 of us, and we're all chatting. We're having kind of sidebar conversations, and we're all just kind of chatting, doing our thing, and it was fine, right? But I said, you know what, guys, like I just kind of said out loud to everyone, I said, I haven't seen you guys in a long time, right? And I'd love to hear how you're doing. Like, honestly, I said, how's your life working out? Like, I want to know how, how you're doing. And one guy, like, as soon as I said that, he just dove in. He was starving to have that kind of conversation, but probably going through something that I've gone through where you don't want to drag the party down. How do you kind of shift the conversation to something more serious, something that maybe isn't quote unquote as happy or joyful? And he said he was struggling in his relationship, with his wife, and he was struggling at work, and he was struggling at finances, and he was going through like a really low point in his life. And so he was able to share that, and that kind of then opened the door for other guys to share. And it really, and I've had, a couple of guys, yeah, two of those guys have passed away. Yeah. So, it's like let's not wait.
Hmm.
Yeah. Let's have those conversations now. Yeah. So, yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Let's
Yeah.
have those conversations now.
Let's have those conversations now. And it's a beautiful segue into being happy and living your happiest lives, right? Because we never know when our time is up. We all know that we have an end date. We simply don't know when it is. And so let's make it our mission to be as happy intentionally as we can, knowing that we're navigating life, right? We're navigating ebbs and flows. We're not denying ourselves emotion. We're not denying ourselves the feelings, but we are acknowledging that in every moment I have a choice. In every moment, I have this ability to decide for or hmm in how we respond, in how we show up.
I think it's a beautiful reminder, right? Let's be intentional, with creating it and not waiting to see how that event shows up, not waiting, to see what the food's like, what the conversations are like, who are the people that are going to be there. Like there's so many things that can rob us of our joy if we let it, or we can go in and just say, I'm gonna have a great time at this event. Let's say if it's an event or in this conversation, in this meeting, and I'm just gonna bring it. And maybe some things aren't going to meet my expectations, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't have to throw me off. I'm committed to, bringing, that to it. It reminds me of something else I wanted to ask you, Victoria. And it's like, because you've spent a lot of time working with people who feel stuck and stalled, overwhelmed, disconnected, from what matters most to them. So, like, what do you find are the biggest things that pull people away from like joy, purpose, and, living kind of a life they truly want to live? What are those things that pull people away? Maybe what are those things that block joy?
It's a brilliant and wonderful question. So much of it, once again, is going back to the way the way our paradigms are operating, the way our belief system, our thinking patterns, our social influences. Many of us, and I love to draw this analogy. I mean, before we hopped online, like I was required to do a computer update, right? An operating system update, but we're not doing that with our minds. We're not doing that with our thinking. And yet our devices are automatically updating their operating systems. And so I love using that as an example because everybody has a device, right? So they already know, oh, yeah. Like that app has been updated because it had glitches, it had things, and now there's a better version of it. We get to do that with our thinking. So, first of all, it is awareness, right? First of all, it's awareness of what it is that's holding us back, of what it is that is the stuck thinking. And so, is the stuck thinking something as simple as life is hard, right? When we're saying that life is hard, when we're saying that things are difficult, and this was me, when I started my work week with, oh my gosh, it's going to be tough. I've got to manage this. I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be frustrated. Well, guess what? My results were. My results at the end of that week were, oh, well, that was a tough week. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I'd set that expectation in play. So of course that's what I was going to get. And so it's so it's understanding this simple
You
core
manifested it.
manifest.
You created it, really.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and and that's exactly what manifestation is, right? We're
Yeah.
constantly manifesting,
Yeah, that's right.
but we may not be manifesting the good, the happy, the love. We may be manifesting the hard, the difficult, the stuck, the I'm not living my joy, I'm passionless, I'm empty, I'm missing this, or whatever. If we're saying that to ourselves, those are the results that we're going to be getting. And so that's the story that we get to switch. And so with my clients, we talk about that awareness and we talk about the tools that we can use once we have understood that awareness. What can we reframe? Where can we look for the gift? Where can we mine? Like, as we're mining information from ourselves, like I like to say, we're the scientist, being the observer of our behaviors and our thoughts without judgment, but simply noticing what, and when we can rewire. It's difficult becomes, well, what if it's easy?
Yeah, that's right. Again, that's
And
also
it's
mindset too,
such
right?
a
Isn't it?
simple reframe. It's like, what if it's easy?
Yeah.
And that might not land straight away. In fact, the first
Yeah.
couple of times, you're going to go, well, it's not. So,
Yeah, right.
hello, right? It's not. It's like, well, but what
Mhm.
if it was? What if you
Yeah.
expected the
Wow.
best? Like, imagine the possibility just in those two concepts, right? Imagine the possibility if it's easy and you expect the best. Two simple changes in your outcome.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful way to reframe it. It reminds me of like, either our emotions are either love-based or fear-based, and when we're in, a fear-based emotion. I just had this conversation earlier this week. It's usually a result of absent. It's something's missing, right? And again, whether it's, finances or it's joy or it's
It's looking to the
connection,
outside, right? It's looking to the
right?
outside for validation,
Right. And
whether
what if we,
it's this or
yeah.
this or this.
Right, and not focusing on ourselves, like, as opposed to focusing on the absence of something, what do we want? What is that love-based emotion? What are we present to? How can we help shift into something that focuses on, yeah, what we have and what we inside us, and whether it's your gratitude list or it's something else. And is that, yeah, like, are there other ways? And I know it all often comes down, like, those questions are beautiful, and are there other ways you help your clients to kind of shift and remove those blocks, move through them, remove them?
Well, there's a whole 12-week program. There's a whole 12-week program and an
We're not going
annual
to answer this
program.
question today alone.
But I do want to go back to gratitude
Yeah.
because gratitude is such an incredible shift in
Hmm.
itself. And that was my journey, is that I had lived a life of and taking things for granted. When I started to take a moment and be grateful for everything that I had, not only externally, but within, right? Think about, for women in particular, the judgment they've held about their bodies. Instead of being judgmental whenever I looked myself in the mirror, I would be grateful for what I have, grateful for who I already am, grateful for this everyday gift that I get to wake up and live my life, as opposed to what I was doing, which was enduring and suffering through.
Right. Yeah.
So even
You
that
weren't thriving.
shift,
You're surviving. You're
I
just
was
surviving.
surviving, yeah, and I
Yeah.
was, for the most part, in flight, fright, or freeze. I was literally like going through the shoulds and the default way of being. But once I became aware that I could change that, right? Like I didn't even know it was a thing. Didn't know I could change it.
Right.
That's
That's
why I'm
awareness.
here.
Yeah, that's huge awareness.
Yes,
Life-changing awareness.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that awareness, once I know I could and everyone else can, then it's following the steps. It's going through a process, and everyone has something that can work for them. But for me, gratitude was a huge shift in perspective.
Because you're appreciating what you have versus focusing on what you don't have or what's missing or what's upsetting you. Yeah, it's a beautiful way to do it. Not in a way that dismisses. I don't get that this process is about dismissing or diminishing your feelings. Your feelings are your feelings. It's just not, you don't want to, we don't want to marinate in that negativity, for too long. Like, I used to have pity parties, and I sometimes do if I'm feeling really sorry for myself, and as opposed to marinating for a week, then I'd cut it down to, okay, I'm going to put on a movie, grab a bag of chips and a beer, and just like feel sorry for myself for two
Yeah.
hours,
Yeah.
and,
There's no
which is less than 2 weeks or whatever it used to be, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's the shift, right? There's
Yeah.
nothing like a great pity party.
Mm.
That is actually also a
That's our
gift.
next
It's
podcast.
the awareness of,
Yes.
I'm feeling like, I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm feeling beaten up. I'm feeling like I need to escape from the world, whatever it is. Absolutely, you get to schedule your time for yourself to recalibrate. But like every party, there's a beginning, middle, and end, right? And you get to, ahead of your pity party, you get to say, okay, I'm feeling like I'd like to be in this pity party for a couple of hours or a
Yeah.
couple of weeks, whatever it is, depending on what
Right.
you're going through, right? And then at the end of that, you make that promise to yourself. Okay, I'm giving myself time to feel the feels. I'm not avoiding the feels. This is not a spiritual bypass. This is
Yes.
not toxic positivity. All the
Right.
words that have
Forced
come out
fun.
as yeah,
Any of
this
that.
is like genuine self-care in this
Yeah.
moment is I want to feel the
Beautiful.
feel. But like every party, there is the beginning, middle, and end. So you schedule it and you say, okay. And for the most part, once we've been in that state of wallowing for a good couple of hours, as you say, marinate. I love
Mhm.
that. Yeah, that we're stewing in our juices, right? It's a bit like having a bath. We're stewing in our own juices.
Yes, I know. It's 100%.
But
Oh my god.
once you've done that for a little while, you know, your fingers are all pruny, your toes are pruny, and it's like, it's time to get out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that's so good. Yeah, and it's so funny because we're so wired, generally speaking. I know, myself included for sure, of trying to shift out of it so quickly. Oh, that's not, it's like looking at it as that's not a good feeling, that's a bad feeling, that's a negative feeling. I used to look at just joy being the only positive emotion. If you break it down into four basic emotions, like mad, sad, glad, or scared, just to simplify it, I used to think if I wasn't glad, if I wasn't joyful, if I was mad, sad, or scared, those are all negative emotions. That's me being weak. That's me not being in control, right? And so now I don't look at, I look at it as signs, that it's something just happened in my thought process. Or maybe I read an email, maybe I read a text, maybe it was a conversation, maybe it was a thought that just popped in, wasn't even my thought, which we all often confuse. Like that doesn't, we don't have to attribute that to me, that negative thought, that inner
We
critic
don't
that
have
comes
to
in.
believe it. Yeah.
We have to believe it. The itty bitty shitty committee, someone, referred to as before, not to diminish the inner voice, but to recognize that not that voice isn't always positive and it's not always us. I
Yeah.
think is a huge distinction as well. There's thoughts and then there's thinking, right? Applying intellectual capacity, actually thinking like you did in that moment where you took the call in the jungle and you intentionally, and you may not have meant to, well, I guess you did in that time, you intentionally took yourself out of the moment of what you're experiencing, and maybe you didn't realize it when you're answering the phone, but you sure realized it after, and look how that's changed your life. Luckily that moment happened as opposed to you beating yourself up like, wow, yeah, luckily that happened.
Absolutely. That was the gift in the moment. And I also want to say, because you've come back to the should shed, right? So let's connect the should
Yes,
shed with our
yes,
thinking, and that we don't have to believe everything we think.
yes. That's a huge
Right
one.
there. Right there.
Yeah,
We don't have to
right.
believe everything we think. If this was taught
Beautiful.
in schools, imagine.
Yeah, I know. I know. Oh my God, kids that, are thinking those, the negative thoughts and, whether it's something a teacher says or something one of their friends say, kids can be so mean, especially I'm realizing like young girls, like just teenage girls, like, oh my God, there's some of the stuff I've heard. It's like, oh, not that boys can't be mean either. It's just, I've just heard more on the other side, recently. But anyway, it's like other people think about us is also none of our business is another beautiful reminder because it usually has nothing to do with us. It's tough to tell a 14-year-old girl that, or 14, or anyone, 14-year-old boy that, because it may not make sense at that moment. I think that only made sense to me, God, less than 10 years ago. So I'm 60 now, like when I was over 50. Like, so, wasn't, I don't even think I heard that, but it's a beautiful reminder again that, people have stuff going on and, let's give each other some grace. If they're coming in really harsh, I mean, have those boundaries, say what you need to say, and we can still say it with love and respect. So, oh my
Yeah.
God, I love this conversation. You know what I thought of like when we're talking about, what are those things we can do to shift out of is your connection with nature. So, I would love, you've helped me reconnect with nature. You've helped others, people that, in our group through forest bathing, Shinrin Yoku. And so I'd love to, for you to share that. Yeah, what is that and why is it so powerful? Because I think that's another way we can help to shift out of, those moments.
It's so powerful. It's so
Mm.
powerful in that we get to honestly and acknowledge that we are not, well, firstly, the only creatures on the planet, right? Like, let's get out of our own
What?
way.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
get
right.
out of our own way in that
We're
regard.
not as significant as we think we are. What? We're not as important?
and that we are in fact connected to nature. We
Mhm.
are nature ourselves. And it's easy to forget when we live in city life. And so, one of my big ahas is that I also moved out of the city so that I could be closer to nature. So, I could, and there were signs my whole life that I did not recognize that I knew I would love this until I actually got here. But there were signs. And so, what I do is I simply provide the space, the opportunity for people to come home to themselves with breath, with meditation, with stillness, to feel connected with themselves, and then to connect to nature around them. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes just offering the stillness, the silence, the quiet, because it takes time to still our busy minds, right? It takes time to notice that we're having thoughts and to actually just let them float away as opposed to following along with them and ruminating on something. So
Mhm.
sometimes it's as simple as stillness and silence. And other times it's more of a sensory connection. Other times it's about tapping into, I've got these senses, I've got these amazing senses. What can I pay attention to in nature that I have not stopped long enough for to notice?
Mm.
And some of the things for me are very tactile, absolutely auditory. Obviously, we're using our eyes a lot. So much of what I do is I encourage people to close their eyes and actually tap in so that they're tapping into themselves more fully and deeply, and then using their other senses. But it's an opportunity to really optimize what we've already got. It's
Yeah,
already here.
right.
It's already here. We're just disconnected from it. So it's an opportunity to connect, to reconnect, and find that stillness and discover. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. You're simply in presence. And that is ultimately what it's all about. It also helps increase sleep, boosts your immune system. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stats and science now on the benefits of being immersed in nature. And there's not enough time for that here, but but
That could be a whole other podcast.
it's a really good thing. And one of the most amazing things that I love about forest bathing is that people start quite wired and active and in the shoulds and in the busy and the problem solving of something that may not even happen in their lives, right? And they come into stillness in the forest and they experience something that they didn't even know was possible
Yeah.
in
Yep.
themselves,
Yes. Yes.
because they have taken the time, they've given themselves permission to
Yeah.
simply allow and be.
The when I experience it with you, you have such a natural ability to create a space. You create a nurturing space. Nurturing is a word that actually popped into my head. Yeah. Just how you share it and even just like the way you're sharing it now. And also to the space that you kind of co-created with us and having the conversation before we even went and did the forest bathing. It just kind of gave everyone, it created a space where we could give ourselves permission, because it's not about you giving us permission or if we're hosting a retreat, us giving guests permission. No, it's not our job. Our job is to co-create a space where they feel comfortable and safe to give themselves permission. And I felt like when I went out into the forest that I went from kind of being wired in my head and thinking about a lot of different things. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to relax. I'm already kind of like having that conversation. I'm feeling more relaxed with your intro into it. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's an opening there. And then when I got there, I felt like nature was nurturing me. I know, and not to tie it into the whole nature or nurture conversation, which is a great one anyway. But it was like it's both. Like in that situation, for me, it was like I felt nurtured by nature, nurtured by you, number one, and then nurtured by nature, and in a way that just let me connect with the ground, with the smells, with the sounds. I remember the little creeks. Your property is stunning, so there's so many different elements and aspects to it, from the creek to the pond to the marsh to the lilacs coming. I think it's lilacs right in May
Lilac
that come
season
in.
now, it's
Oh,
beautiful.
right now, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Sort of like end of May, yeah. And so it was such a beautiful experience for me, and I just felt very grounded. I felt I could fall asleep after, I don't know, maybe it took me 10 minutes or so, maybe it was a little bit longer, but just to be able to go from feeling very wired in my head, very busy in my head, critical in my head, to forgiving and being present and letting nature just kind of take care of me, hug me. I felt I was being hugged by nature. And it's like, I love this term, like second nature, like second nature versus second guessing. What can we do more of these types of things where we trust ourselves more, where the shifting out of it is more second nature? We're not second guessing ourselves. We're trusting ourselves. We're trusting our intuition, and we're doing those things that are really, yeah, we're taking care of ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah,
really, it's about
nurturing
self
and
care.
nourishing. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah, nurturing and nourishing, yeah.
yeah. And the
Oh,
answer and the
man.
answer is giving yourself permission to do it. Right? It's
Yeah,
giving yourself permission instead of what you may, well, let's just say, instead of watching television, right? Instead of gaming, instead of whatever it could be, instead
doom
of,
scrolling.
and doom scrolling. Yes, thank you. Instead of those, like simply giving yourself permission to do something that is not active, right? That we have really in society, like associated busy with good and activity as being good for you. Well, activity is good, but activity has its own, like any activity done excessively is not necessarily as good as we may believe it to be. And
Right.
so we get to like, okay, what could I do instead of doom scrolling for 3 hours?
Mhm.
Perhaps because who starts off on Facebook saying I'm going to be there for 3 hours, right? Give yourself the schedule and say I'm going to be half an hour on Facebook, and then for the next half an hour I'm going to go for a walk outside, or I'm going to be barefoot in the grass and I'm just going to stand there. I mean,
Mhm.
barefoot in the grass
Yeah.
is incredible, and we're
Yes.
feeling grounded and present and connected. But how many of us actually
Mhm.
even do that? We look at the grass, we comment about the grass, oh, it's not short enough, oh, it's not, oh, there's dandelions, whatever the story we're
Right.
telling others, right? And
Yeah.
instead, I'm going to go stand in the grass.
Oh my god, we have moss at the cottage. We don't have a lot of grass,
Oh,
we have moss, and that is just like,
oh,
it's like
it's
carpet. It's like
magic.
nature's carpet.
It's magic.
Excuse me, but it's even better, right? So,
I love moss. Oh, so good.
oh man. Well, this has been absolutely incredible. And I thought, Victoria, before we wrap up, for anyone listening and for everyone listening, like, what do you hope they feel, remember, or take away after listening to our conversation?
It's so good because we've said so many things, Greg.
I know there's a lot of nuggets. Hopefully, if you resonate with the people listening.
We're like, "Oh my gosh, what was that train of thought?" Right? Like,
Yeah,
was
that's
that
right.
conscious? Was it
The joy
intentional?
train, the nature train, the joy train, the laughter train. Uh,
We've said so much, but I
mm,
think we kept coming back to giving oneself permission. Giving oneself permission to be in a different way, something that is more life affirming, more life fulfilling. What if you do expect the best? What if it is easy? What if you are absolutely believing that you are worthy of joy, happiness, and living a life you absolutely love? What would that feel like? Feel into that, embrace it, because we are all worthy of living lives we absolutely love. And yet, we've spent time listening to our inner critic saying, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." So now we get to reframe it. We're aware of it. We get to reframe it. Let's
that's
love
beautiful.
ourselves. Let's love ourselves.
Aw, give ourselves permission to not go into the should shed.
Yeah.
Maybe to put a lock on the should shed.
Yeah.
Maybe we tear it down. Maybe we tear down the should shed, or we keep it up as a reminder of
We
what,
could tear it down, plant a few trees.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my god. Ah, this is so good. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, for saying yes, for the work you're doing in the world, for helping people reconnect with themselves, right? And their dreams and the healing wisdom of nature, and for helping people give themselves permission and create more awareness, creating spaces where people can slow down long enough to hear what their heart has been trying to tell them for maybe for years or for a long time. Thanks for reminding us that sometimes the answers we're searching for aren't found by doing more and by being busy, but by becoming more present and
Yes.
still, as we've said a few times. Yeah, I can feel myself getting emotional now. Just what it looks like to live with intention, courage, authenticity, and joy. You really, you're a gem. So I'm super grateful for our friendship, our retreats together, for the many lives you continue to impact through your coaching and your leadership and your presence. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. This has been an
Mm.
absolute pleasure. I love our conversations. I
Oh,
love that we were freeform. We were in flow, and
yeah, we were.
there's there's some tidbits and some takeaways in there, and once again, like a final message for everyone. Like, this is a
Mm,
process. In this
yeah,
process of awareness, we get to be self-compassionate. We get to be self-loving. These are things that we can do for ourselves from within. And as we do it, we are elevating, raising our happiness set point and creating this beautiful ripple effect. And that's what you're doing with Joy². I love that you've called it Joy², right? It's absolutely magnified. It's quantum leaping results out there, spreading the message that if you can, they can too. We all
yeah.
can.
Oh, I love it. I really do. I mean, thanks for saying all that. That really means a lot to me because I feel like I'm doing my life's work now, right? My purpose has been about co-creating more joy in the world for 25 years, and now I've just kind of named it something else, Joy Squared, the power of joy. I mean, I really love that too, and just helping people to, including myself. My God, these are used. I learn from every single conversation. So it's been so good. And I just want to remind our listeners, I want to thank our listeners first for spending your time and energy with us. We know you have choices and we appreciate you choosing, us and listening to us today. And one of the things I loved about our conversation is a reminder that, the things that, we're searching for aren't out there, right? That most of the time they're already within us, waiting for us to slow down, enough to hear them. And also that nature isn't just a place to visit, it's a powerful place to guide ourselves, guide us back to ourselves, back home, guiding ourselves back home, I think is a beautiful reminder. And joy isn't something that we earn after we achieve our goals. It's something we can choose and cultivate along the journey. We don't need to have everything figured out before taking the next step. Clarity often follows action. And that's a reminder that I remind myself that often. And I'm going to remind myself more of that. We need to be clear about the next best step. Sometimes it's like we just need to take the next best step. And then the one after that will show up. And sometimes the most courageous thing, we can do is pause, listen, and just trust what we already know deep inside. And so I think my invitation to our listeners is I'd love to encourage you to do, to do something after the episode. And it's take a few minutes to unplug, right? And step outside, reconnect with yourself. And whether it's like a walk through the woods, it's sitting beside a lake, or it's simply just noticing the beauty around you, give yourself permission to slow down. You might be surprised by what emerges when you do. So until next time, remember, joy isn't something you wait for. Joy is something you choose. So live, work, and lead with more joy intentionally.
Mm,
Cheers.
beautiful. Thank you so much. It's been an
Uh,
absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Victoria. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for spending this time with us on Joy², where joy multiplies and everything gets better. Remember, joy isn't just something you feel, it's something you create and it's something you pass on. If this conversation sparks something in you, share it because joy is contagious. What we're building here is bigger than a podcast. It's a reminder and a movement that how we live, work, and lead truly matters. Until next time, live with joy, lead with purpose, and never forget to have fun. Keep choosing joy squared. And if you're enjoying the journey, we'd be grateful if you subscribe, like, and share Joy² so the ripple keeps spreading.